Greenpeace pioneer. Climate change neither dangerous nor man-made. On Friday, March 15, 2019, the first global protest day of Fridays for Future took place. Following the example of the founder of the movement, the Swedish schoolgirl Greta Thunberg, participating pupils go out into the streets on Fridays during school hours and protest. On March 15th, according to an international list, pupils and some adults in 128 countries demonstrated for climate protection. In Germany alone, there were demonstrations in over 222 cities, and some 300,000 people are said to have taken part. According to the organizers, more than 65,000 people in Switzerland demanded the implementation of the Paris Agreement and the declaration of national climate emergency. In addition, Switzerland should reduce its greenhouse gas emissions to zero by 2030. In particular, the carbon dioxide, CO2, attributed to human activities is to be brought to zero. However, many leading scientists see it as proven that climate change is neither man-made nor a crisis. One of them, the Canadian ecologist Patrick Moore, was a guest on the US TV show Fox and Friends on March 12, 2019. According to Fox News and, for instance, the Wall Street Journal, Moore was a founding member of the non-governmental organization Greenpeace. Since his exit in 1986, Greenpeace has distanced itself from Moore and has not listed him as a founding member either. The fact is that in 1971, Moore was one of the decision-makers who introduced the name Greenpeace Foundation. In 1977, Moore became president of the Greenpeace Foundation and remained president of Greenpeace Canada until 1986. Moore told Fox News that Greenpeace did good things in the beginning, but later left-wing extremists took the helm. They had infiltrated and transformed the organization, which was initially based on science, into one based on sensationalism, disinformation and scaremongering. Moore makes it clear to Fox News that although there has been constant climate change since the beginning of time, but it is neither dangerous nor man-made. In fact, according to Moore, the entire climate crisis is not only fake news but fake science too. Moore explains literally, there is weather and climate everywhere in the world. And it's not just that. A little warming wouldn't harm me even as a Canadian, and the people in Russia wouldn't have anything against a few more degrees. According to Moore, climate change is a completely natural phenomenon. The current modern warm period began 300 years ago when the Little Ice Age came to an end. Nothing to be afraid of, stresses Moore. But the climate alarmists have lived off frightening people. Most scientists who speak of a crisis would be earning their living from government contracts. There would also be a glaring contradiction in claiming, on the one hand, that science is clear and that skeptics would have to remain silent, but on the other hand, that further and even further studies would be continued as if there were something new to discover after all. The fact is, Moore explained, that carbon dioxide has very useful properties. It benefits the environment as a whole, agriculture, forestry, and the climate. The statements of Greenpeace pioneer Patrick Moore shed a different light on the global climate protests and raised the following justified questions. Is an entire generation of concerned and committed young people being instrumentalized for a climate policy agenda? On the one hand, to draw even more money out of the pockets of citizens with CO2 taxes, and on the other hand, to ruin the European, but especially the German car industry by banning combustion engines?